How do you learn who you really are? It's not found in books, it's found on the battlefield. What's up, Warriors? Welcome back, Battlefield of the Mind. I'm here today with Bishop Kevin Foreman, and we're going to get into just one of those conversations you wish you could just sit in on and listen to people going back and forth. And so, Bishop, say hey,
Yeah.
say who you are, and let's get
Hey,
hanging.
hey, listen. Well, let me just say again, thanks for having me. Love the show. Love what you do. Love the concept. And we were talking right before we got started about your background, and I love all of that imagery because I think there is a lost mindset and mentality, especially in today's culture, for the warrior and the warrior mindset, and like everything about my life, my home, like mimics that. I got the Roman Colosseum. That's the first thing I see when I come in the door. I got swords up everywhere. So when people come in my house, they're like, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Why do you have all these swords? What's going on?" And I've got, all of that type of imagery, but I love it because for me, I think your atmosphere really creates the type of person you become. What you behold, you become. And so I keep those types of things around me to just keep that memory and keep that mindset and mentality. Like, you're a warrior. Like, we fight. This is what we do. Whatever the problem is, whatever the issue is, whatever the challenge is, like, we were built to fight. And I think that's a lost art today. I think most everybody wants everything handed to them, generally speaking, wants everything easy. And if it's a fight, it's like, well, maybe I'm not supposed to do that. But maybe that's exactly what you're supposed to do because you were built to fight. So I love that concept. I love that construct. Well, I have a question for you. When you say warriors and warrior nation and all of that, like what precipitated that, especially with the background, all that? What precipitated that?
That's actually a cool question. I think there's a warrior DNA inside of all of us men. I think there's something inside of us that desires challenge and growth and conflict. I think that the part of the potential and progress of it. I started this off. I wrote. I got it somewhere in here. I wrote a book a long time ago. I wrote Everything is a Choice. I co-authored this
Mm,
with Dr. Orrin Cox, and I realized as I was breaking through all of the elements of things that it's very simple. The free will element of we always get to choose. It doesn't always mean we like our choices, but there always is a choice.
yeah,
And it's not about what happens to you; it's how you handle it. And it started with a very stoic philosophy element of it, and started getting into um, just you get to choose what to do here. You know that, right? 'Cause you're
yeah,
not a
yeah,
victim; you're a participant.
yeah,
And when I wrote that book, I started the Everything is a Choice program to try and help people understand that. But as I started really crossing into my authenticity, it would be like, there's a fucking warrior in you. There's
yeah,
something in you that's built to battle. We started
yeah,
going toward the noise. Is there a hurt inside of you? Let's go check it out. Let's not run away from it. Let's go
yeah,
toward the noise, not run away from the noise. And I started realizing that the natural warrior rhetoric was natural to me. There's
right,
a there's a there's a there's a fighter in me, and I'm like, there should be a fighter in you too. And so
yeah,
the competency that came from training in different areas where my psychology doesn't create dependency, and I think that's very important, is that I train you to be competent on your own.
yeah,
You don't need to see me every week for 10 years. In
yeah,
3 months, if you know how to do this, you're trained. You don't need me anymore. And so the rhetoric started going more into the warrior philosophy, the Spartan philosophy. We train harder, we work harder. And those who sweat more in training bleed less in war.
mm,
And I started realizing that a lot of the different, uh, the different elements of if you want peace, prepare for war, and all of these different elements of these philosophies and strengths that came from the past started really applying to the Everything is a Choice program. And then it evolved into the warrior's way of mindset because I'm like, we fight here. All of my philosophy goes forward, where
yeah,
today's teachers are teaching you to cope, maintain, or
yeah,
medicate.
yeah.
And I'm
And
like,
manage
we
the
don't do
misery.
that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, yeah. That's so funny you said that because I always say too, I think a lot of culture has become just managing misery. Like,
Mhm.
how do I just manage the misery versus change the scenario and situation? That's been my whole life. I was born in Denver, raised in Memphis, and raised with a mom who really was functionally a single mom. My stepfather rather, he was an abuser, he was a user, he was a womanizer, he was, all of those things. And so the images of men and manhood that I saw as a kid, I could name how many of them were positive images. So I had to really make a decision. The joke is I came out of my mom's womb with a Bible and a briefcase because I was very entrepreneurial and industrious, but at the same time, I had this spiritual affinity towards spiritual things. And so, that was just the way that I was. I didn't know another way to be. And I would look at that and I remember, in hindsight, essentially I had to pick and choose, back to everything is a choice. I had to choose the man that I was going to become. And I was like, I like that. I like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And so, it goes into, something that I'm very big on, which is, this whole concept of, I call it generational curses, curse breaking, like, a curse, an empowerment to fail. It's not spooky and witches and warlocks and cauldrons. Mm-mm. It's just there's a pattern of destructive behavior that has been at play, that has worked in this family or worked in this bloodline or worked in this community or what have you. And somebody's got to be the one that breaks that. Somebody's got to be the one that says, I'm not going to take on that mold. And so I love that thinking behind that, because that was my whole approach, was like, well, okay, this is a problem. We'll do something about it. Well, this is a challenge. We'll do something about it. Well, this is, how do I do this? And that's been like my whole life. And so to hear that, I love that, because whenever I hear that type of, you mentioned the rhetoric, like that signal, I pick up on that signal, just in people in general. And I'm drawn to that. And I like that because even as a kid, I started my first business when I was 12. Again, didn't see that. I got into ministry when I was 12. I got into ministry through music. I started playing drums, and it was competition that actually got me into that. My best friend in school, his father was a pastor, so he was a musician. He would play, and one year he got a drum set. We were so competitive about everything. He got a drum set. I didn't even know how to play drums. I was like, I want a drum set too. So I went home and was like, yeah, I want a drum set. And they said, well, you tried the saxophone, didn't like that. Tried the trombone, didn't like that. Tried the trumpet, didn't like that. I didn't like the way brass instruments felt. And got that drum set though, and I literally taught myself how to play, just making the choice. I'd watch the guy at church that would play. He's a left-handed drummer.
Mm.
So, left-handed drummers play like this. They got their hi-hat, got their snare. Right-handed drummers typically play like this, your hi-hat, your snare. So I didn't know what I didn't know, but what you behold, you become. So I'm watching him. So I learned how to play drums as a left-handed drummer. So the whole time I'm playing like this. And one day a guy's like, why do you play like that? You're left-handed. I'm like, no, this is how you play. He was like, no, that's how left-handed drummers play. Back to the principle, what you behold, you become. And so I got into that later on, started doing, music stuff and keys and arranging music, producing music and all of that. But everything I did was me making those choices to be a different man than the man I saw. 21, built Denver's largest black-owned real estate finance brokerage. No one had ever done that. First couple of PhDs in my bloodline. No one else had done that. The list goes on. I don't say that to be arrogant or braggadocious or anything like that.
Those
It's just
happiness.
back to your principle that everything is a choice. And I love that because I think so many times we can see ourselves as like, I can't do this. I'm a victim of this, or this happened to me. No, that happened for you. Saying my stepfather is an abuser, he passed away a couple years ago. I remember the last time I saw him, I was preaching in Memphis, and I remember telling him, I said, if you don't change your life, this is going to be the last time I see you. And that was the last time that I saw him. And, he went through a bunch of different things. He was so smart, such a brilliant man. I remember thinking to myself, and I would tell him this. I said, "You're so smart, you're dumb." I
Yeah.
said, "Because you've maximized playing everybody, and you've played yourself, and you've not really tapped into your potential." So I love that everything is a choice. You're a participant. I think that's liberating. I'm not a victim. Life didn't happen to me. Life happened for me.
Yeah, it's true too, and it's good to see these things too. And I talked to. It's good that you see this. There's a lot you just did there really quickly. First off, yes, let's get into what you behold, you become.
Yeah.
I'm with you because what you focus on, you find. Whether it be manifestation, prayer, whatever it is, you're going to find what you look for. If you look for bad things, you'll find bad things. You look for
Yeah.
good things, you'll find good things. The I choose the man that I'm going to become. We call that chimera training and warrior training. And what I do is, like, it's the idea of a Frankenstein of all these different things that you've seen. So you're like,
Mhm.
I like how that guy works hard, and I like how this guy is generous, and I like how that woman is compassionate, and I like how that person is a hard worker. And you take all of these pieces and you put them together to make an idea of a version of me that can do these things. And like a chimera in Greek mythology, you're like, this is a mismatch of different animals that aren't supposed to go together. Like, that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
making your own Frankenstein of your authenticity, of something that's truly you, your way. And so we just talked about that this morning in the men's call. Like, we build your chimera and it turns into the target of who am I going to be, not who was I told I'm allowed to be.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you start breaking through, and it's ironic you said the breaking curses. We have code names, like we earn your code name in the Warriors way. And so guys will go through different things, and whatever their traits or whatever things are, they get code names. My code name has been Curse Breaker for years
Oh
because,
man, I didn't know that. That's crazy.
yeah, so I go into the darkness of people's lives and I help break them out of those belief systems.
Man, that is so powerful. It's so crazy you mentioned that. I'm in the middle of that. Like I have this belief that you live life as a student, not as an expert. If you live life as a student, you never feel embarrassed, you never feel shamed, you never feel like I screwed up, you never feel like I messed up so bad. I'm a student. Students don't get everything right. It's the experts that screw up and mess up and do that, and then all of a sudden now they're, depressed and angry and mad because you made yourself an expert in something. To me, it's like I'm a student, so yeah, I made a mistake. Yeah, I didn't do that right. Yeah, I didn't do that great. Yep, let's try it again. Oops, type of thing. But it's freeing. But there's this principle. It comes out of Psalm with David, who is this warrior who fights Goliath the whole night, and he says something crazy. He says, "I was shapen in iniquity," and so iniquity just deals with just again generational stuff that's passed down and around, just error. Three types of sin in the Bible: sin, iniquity, transgression. Sin to miss the mark, iniquity passed down and around, transgression willfully deviate. So he's like, I've been shaped by a bunch of errors. And I my shape has been this way so long, sometimes wrong becomes right because you don't even know that there's another option that's available. And sometimes it's not even that it's evil or devastating. It's just not the best you. It's not the best version of you. It's not the best what you can produce. And so I always am in that evolutionary process all every day. Like I start the day in my day, I go through my day like I'm in competition with yesterday's version of myself. So I can celebrate and clap for other people who are doing what they're doing because I don't have to be a hater because they're doing what they do. I'm doing what I do. I'm not competing with them. I'm competing with me. So the one I'm in the ring with is me, and yesterday's version of me. That being said, David has this shaping, right? And it impacts him. His father, rejects him as a young boy. When Saul or Samuel is there to anoint the king, he's not invited into the house. He's got rejection. We don't know where his mom is. She's not there at all. He just says, born in sin, shaped in iniquity. So we know that he's in a blended family. So there's this issue between his brothers and him. They've got these problems going on, and his father treats him different. And so he takes on all of this shaping that shows up later in his life. Like he's constantly looking to, even though he had Abigail, who the Hebrew Midrash says she was the most beautiful Hebrew woman to ever live. Now, I want to know if that's true or not. I want to know.
Let
I
me
want
see
to
a photo.
know.
Well, let me see a photo of Abigail. I don't know.
Right, right,
My
right,
wife's
right.
pretty awesome.
Right, 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 right. But they say she's the most beautiful Hebrew woman to live. And so he's got that, but he still, yearns for Bathsheba, yearns for all these other things. He yearns for all these other things. And there's so much revelation in that for me because right now I'm in the middle of a what I call a reshaping. Like things that I held on to, questioning, well, no, why do I believe that? And it's simple stuff. It's not deep, deep, deep stuff. It could be as simple as how you run your day, how you run your life, how you run your workouts. It could be very simple things. How you we made a big change in our organization. We moved our headquarters from Denver to Atlanta about I guess now 8 months ago, and top of the year, so 9 months ago, and so that was a big change for me because in my mind I was like, well, I've got all this. I built in Denver. I got this. I got this. I got this. I got this, and I literally had like an internal fight to let go of what I had become bigger than. And so it's like a fish in a fishbowl. And it really started this whole reshaping to where lots of things that I'm like, you don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to do it that way. You don't have to be that. You don't have to be that. And it can be a crazy place and space to be because to your point, it's like this Frankenstein, but now it's like the upgraded version of Frankenstein. It's like going, I'm an iPhone guy. So it's like going from 15 to 16, 16 to whatever else they're about to sell us in a few months of constantly upgrading. And for me, and I'm curious as your thoughts on this, how does one maintain, from your view, the enthusiasm, motivation, dedication, passion for life while constantly re-Frankensteining and reshaping and taking all of these different pieces. How do you maintain all of that from your view?
That's a purpose question. So, that's a good question on that. And also, like, I don't want to downplay the fact that you drop. I notice this when I talk with wise people,
Yeah.
is you'll drop like 6 or 7 very important things very quickly, and then we just go right past it. And like this, it's like it's a normal thing when I'm like, that's a big thing that you just said there. You're like, but it's normal for my conversation. And you just keep going, and I'm like, I don't think people caught how awesome what you just said was. That was actually really good. So, I do want to get into the purpose question. So please keep your question, but let me grab a
Yeah.
couple of these things that you
Yeah,
just
let's
said
do it. No, we're
first.
talking. Let's go.
Like even still, like you're talking about your dad, and you said you're so smart, you're dumb,
Mm,
and you get into the smart people outsmarting themselves. This is very common that people are doing paradoxical behavior. What I do is opposite from like what I want.
yep.
It's
Yep.
like I do self-destruction for personal gain. And it's like, how do you destroy yourself to get more stuff for yourself? That doesn't make any sense. Like you're doing a paradox here. And I like that you said I'm a student. And I think that the idea of here is where you said experts screw up. I wrote a thing a long time ago. This is God hit me hard with this one, where he's like, you see two experts, two doctors
Mhm,
who are both struggling with other areas of life, but they're
mhm,
experts on this one thing. Could be medical, could be psychological, could be whatever. They're an expert on something. And these two experts who agree completely that this is how it should work, but their whole life is out of control. And you said a pair of docs is a paradox.
mm, mm,
Two experts that don't know what the fuck
mhm.
they're doing and their life is in turmoil telling everybody else how to work. It's paradoxical. It's very silly. And so I thought it was very interesting. You go like, don't be an expert because experts create paradox.
Yeah, that's so true. But but I looked at that because I had a real. I think this is part of every journey. Everybody, at least from what I've seen, part of everybody's journey where you go through this thing where you think you know everything about everything. And while I generally always had the mentality of a student, always had a growth mentality, there was a little blip of time where my approach was somewhat smug,
Hmm.
and it was somewhat well, that couldn't happen to me, that couldn't happen to me, that couldn't happen to me, I do this. And I got, what did Mike Tyson say? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face or something like that. And so, life punched me in the face and I
Yeah.
was like, whoa, how did I end up here? And I've learned, for me, I don't waste a crisis. So, I went through having built this wonderful company simultaneously in ministry. Over the weekend, man, this thing collapses. I mean, I'm watching on CNN agents carry boxes out of one of the banks that we use. So, mortgage business, what I said, finance brokers. So, mortgage brokers. And there came boxes out of one of the banks that we use, which is in Southern California. So I call our rep on Monday and I'm saying, what's going on? He says, well, it's, the bank is, insolvent and over. I said, oh, that's really unfortunate for that branch. He said, no, 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 the bank. Oh, I said, oh, all of Southern California. That's really unfortunate because I'm thinking about the millions of dollars of business we got in the pipeline. He says, no, no, it's over. And from there, it was this cascading effect to where on Friday I left feeling great to where Monday I'm like, what are we going to do? Those are like just crazy times, but it made me go back in and reshape. And so I learned so many valuable lessons. Wrote my first book, in fact, off of it, because that was finance and money, and a lot of that was impacted. I call it the art of getting your finances in order, making money moves, art of getting your finances in order. But I said every lesson I learned in this valley, I'm going to turn and teach it to somebody else. And I'm glad that I went through it when I went through it. But I said, how did I get here? I said, I got here in terms of how it affected me. I couldn't affect the industry. It had nothing to do with our business. It was the industry. I couldn't change that, but it wouldn't have been as, I don't want to use the word devastating because it wasn't. It was transformational. It wouldn't have been as much to deal with. Let me say it like that. Had I not approached a lot of what I was doing as an expert, because I was winning. I was the top of the list. I was number one. Da 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 da. Da. And when you're at the top, there's only one other direction to go. When you think you've reached the top. So my approach is, yeah, we're working, we're evolving, we're moving. I learned so much in that space, but that taught me, like, do not be an expert. Do not think you know everything. Do not, don't believe your own hype. Don't read your own press. Every day, compete with yesterday's version of yourself. Because some of the decisions that I made were just, they made sense when I made them, but they didn't make sense on the back end because, again, I just approached it as an expert versus be a student.
It's good. There's a lot of pieces here. There's man, you do so many things at one time. That like we could we're gonna keep going in this
Yeah,
loop
yeah,
here
that's
for a
cool.
while. I connect very, very highly with different philosophers. One of the big ones I end up whenever I do my deep work and then I cross-reference who got to that point, I run
Yeah.
into Socrates all the time.
Mhm,
I hit Socrates often.
mhm, mhm,
And Socrates is one of those ones where let's mix Socrates and Jesus together.
mhm.
The very first beatitude is blessed are those who are poor of spirit.
Yeah, yeah.
And that gets into like, humility. And I believe that you can't have humility without abundance.
Mm,
And what I
mhm.
mean by that is you knew enough that you were the man. And so I have all of this, I'm the best.
Yeah.
But Socrates, he learned so much that he realized he knew like next to nothing for how much there
Nothing.
was to know.
Yeah.
And so that would be his whole thing is like, I don't know nothing. The more that I've learned, the more I know I don't know. And so it came with the concept of that smart people, like a student, would learn from everyone and everything. An
Yeah.
average person would learn mostly just from their own experiences, and a stupid person already knows everything.
Mhm, mhm. Yeah.
And this would be one of those ideas where when you have abundance of wisdom, you now learned that I don't know shit.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
have
and
a
I
I have a quote that I did for this one. I wrote it last year. I had huge enlightenments on stuff, and I wrote, "If I told you as an expert on life that I know 1% of all there is to know, just know that I'm rounding up.
mhm. I love that. Yeah.
Like I'm
I love
rounding
that.
up, and it's probably
Yeah.
not even 1%, but I'm an
Yeah.
expert on life."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
probably not even 1% though.
Yeah. But I think there's the warrior piece, the freedom to be okay with that and not feel like something's wrong because you don't know.
It's very confident to not know.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'll probably do it during this conversation often. Is I have people tell me things that they like. There's no way I could know. Like if you were like, "Hey, did you know what happened when I opened the place up in Denver and these people had this thing? Do you know what happened?" And I would go, "No, there's no way I could know that. What happened?"
Right.
You'll be like,
Right.
"Well, I can't wait to tell you."
Yeah.
And the answer that I gave you is, I don't know. But it made it so now the opportunity for us to connect through your story is now open and you can't wait to share and connect. And me not knowing made it so like we now have a better dynamic together.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that saying I don't know is actually a very confident thing to do instead of going like, yeah, I have an idea what you did. You don't have to tell me. And you're like,
Yeah.
okay, bud.
Yeah.
I already know. And it's very difficult to connect to. So I just want to praise the area of removing paradox from conversation and saying, no, no, I'm gonna be open to new information. It doesn't mean I have to agree.
Yeah.
I'm open to listen to it. So I like that whole thing. And then I want to jump into this reshaping idea. And I want to give a couple of master tips that I just did this in this class. It's so funny the same conversations come up in
That's
certain
amazing.
days. There's a few words that come up that make it so it's either very difficult or more easier to digest, depending
Uh-huh.
on the situation. I play off of just all these different things. I still like using the Musaru Emoto, like the water experiment. If you watched him do that,
Mhm.
where like certain words, like if you say God or if you say love or if you say hate or fool, and then freeze the water, it creates different shapes in the crystal, and so that
Oh,
it shows that energy and frequency and the words that we use actually matter. And so the way that we speak about ourselves or the way that we speak about others, our subconscious and the water inside of us doesn't know the difference. And so if I go, I hate you,
right.
the water in my body doesn't know who you hate. They just know that word happened. And so we're taking on that energy too. And so they would do all of these experiments where the words matter. And so when you talk about I'm reshaping, people associate that to change. Well, why is change so damn hard? It's 100% inevitable.
Mhm.
Everything over a long enough timeline changes. Everything changes. The
Huh.
mountains will change. The
Yep.
rivers will change. The rocks will change. The people will change. A tree will grow. Everything is going to change. A kid will be an adult. Like everything changes
Yep.
over a long enough timeline. Why are we so bad at change? Well, it's because it's associated to loss. And loss
Mhm,
is one of the most difficult things for people to
mhm,
go through. So
mhm,
your old church that you had, when you moved to another one, I lost my old thing. Now I have a new thing. Even if the new thing is better, I don't have my old thing anymore. And so now I still have a sense of loss, even if it's better. And so that whole loss element of it has been really tough. But I found there's a few things for words like change and sacrifice and things that words are like, oh, that gives me, I don't like that feeling.
mm,
If you just do a little bit of a different word twist, same exact behavior, it
mhm,
feels very different. So I said, wow, so you didn't just change from this church to this church. It looks like you evolved into your next church. Well, if I say you're evolving, does
yeah,
that feel negative?
no,
No, I'm growing. The evolution means I'm expanding, I'm growing, I'm a different Pokemon now. I've
yeah,
grown,
yeah,
like so I'm bigger now, I'm stronger now, I'm more capable now. I've evolved.
yeah,
So you evolved out of the old church and into the new one. Are you ready for that? And you're like, well, now I feel very ready.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
You know, you have to sacrifice though. You have to make sacrifices. You have to sacrifice. And this word is often, especially in Christianity, it's often thrown around very hard.
mhm,
And
mhm,
it's very mind side, by the way. It takes the spirit element out of it. You have
mhm,
to
mhm,
sacrifice. And I
mhm,
actually sent Jordan Peterson a message on this one because I went to his
mhm,
speech and I'm like, I think it goes further, bud.
mhm,
Because he
mhm,
stopped
mhm.
at the mind side on it and he didn't go into spirit or heart.
Sure, yeah,
And so when I looked at it, he said, if John 1, if you said, in the beginning was the word, and the word was God, and all things were created through the word, and it's implying that Jesus was the word,
right,
he said, I think the word is sacrifice. And I said, Jesus being sacrifice. Well, sacrifice has to come with reason.
mhm,
There has to be a reason. And in order
right,
to
mhm,
sacrifice for something, you have to have a belief that the thing I'm sacrificing for is worth more than what I'm sacrificing. It's got more value perceived, whether it's potential or whatever it would be. I believe that it's worth more than what I am giving. That's why I will give it. Otherwise, the sacrifice makes no sense.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
I'm like, well, then what would be the reason for sacrifice if the beginning was the word and the word was Jesus? And what is his word? His word wouldn't be sacrifice. What is worth giving everything for?
mhm,
And I came to love. So I'm like, love it breaks all of the rules. And if
mhm,
Jesus was actually the angel of the word would be love, not
mhm,
sacrifice, because
mhm,
sacrifice is as far as I can do a return on investment.
right,
But something that breaks all the rules and is illogical and irrational and may just be the purpose for life, well, everything that Jesus did was love.
yeah,
And so I'm like, maybe it's a different word.
mhm,
Let's push it a little further into the spirituality and connection. And so changing the word sacrifice, I said, let's go with, if I'm going to sacrifice, let's change it to exchange.
mm, mm,
I'm exchanging a bad habit for a better habit. I'm exchanging a bad belief for a better belief. I'm exchanging something that doesn't serve me anymore for something that does serve me. I'm not sacrificing a habit. I'm not sacrificing a belief. I'm exchanging it for a better one. I'm swapping these for something that I now evolve into a better version. I just put these out there because like it sounds so simple,
yeah,
but it's genius when you go like, you're not changing things, you're evolving. It's not
yeah,
a reshape, it's an evolution. You're stronger now, you're more capable now, and it feels better. And you look at it more of like, I'm excited for this versus like how much stuff is, oh, I'm losing. You're like, you're not. It's growing. And then, yeah, but I have to sacrifice the Denver place for this place. You're like, no, you're exchanging one for the other to make it so it's got more room to grow.
mhm, mhm.
Doesn't that feel better?
Oh, it does. Yeah. Yeah, but, I think even to your point, I remember I did a series about evolution and the distinction between evolution and revolution. Revolution change, but it doesn't necessarily mean change for the better. Evolution is always change that is non-regressive change. Like a butterfly can never go back to being a caterpillar. It can never go back to being what it was. And so that the freedom of that, because you're right, when you see the word change, and even in my world and circle of dealing with, from preaching and congregations and people and online and all of that. Everybody loves the concept of change. Everybody, come on, God's gonna do a new thing. Woo! Everybody is excited. This is yes, but new means that there has to then be an exchange for something new than the old. And I think the reason it's so difficult is because that loss triggers grief And so grief makes us miss the moment. I call it good grief, where something great is happening, but you don't feel great. Something amazing is happening, but you don't feel it because now you're into this grief and now you're bargaining and you're anger and you got all these stages of grief and not even recognizing like this is the whole ball game. Like this is what it was. This next step, this next stage is what it was always for. When I was able to recognize those two and recognize that pattern, it helped me to do the exact same thing you're talking about, which was to view all of that evolutionary from an evolutionary standpoint. In fact, one of my books is called Evolutionaries, which is based off of that whole concept. But making those exchanges, and I love what you said about words because it's one of those things. That's one of my student things. I'm the guy about your words have life. Death and life of the power of your tongue. Numbers 14:28. He'll give you exactly what he heard you say. But I sometimes catch myself, and people will catch me. My mother, she is the biggest word police on the planet with me. But she only does it with me. She'll say, watch your words, sir. Watch your words. Not that, but you say, what'd you say? Because I totally agree with everything you just said. Those words do matter. And I think those words attract things. And even if you get deeper, in the beginning was the word was God, the word became flesh, dwelt among us. Well, what is God? He's a speaking spirit. And as a speaking spirit, everything he created in Genesis, he spoke it. And he ain't gonna make a zebra, he spoke it. He ain't gonna make he spoke it. And I think our lives very similarly follow those same patterns that our words frame our worlds. Our lives are determined by what comes off our lips.
It's very true. And I'm with you on that one. It's very powerful stuff. People won't understand this until they can do the surrender element, but it's right. Um, I don't know if you know this. My mastery is in grief. Grief to growth is my mastery. And when it comes to this, like I'm publishing the book on it now, and happy to put it out there for everybody because it's meant to help people heal. This is where like
Yeah.
the cure to depression, the cure to addictions, the cure to anxiety, it's all riddled through this grieving system.
Mhm. Wow.
And whenever I
And to
break
answer your
these
question, I did know. I didn't mean to catch up, but no, I did know that. Yeah, yeah,
this is my mastery, and it
yeah.
came from years ago when I really started to study. Was I saw Tony Robbins just say this one line, and it just bounced off of everybody else. But it's funny how these conversations work because there's something that you'll say or something I say where people will
Mhm.
just grab that one thing and that'll become a part of like identity.
Yeah.
He said the hardest thing for human beings to do is go through loss.
Mm.
He's like, death in the family, lost a relationship, your career was gone, lost all my money. Like the hardest thing for people to do is go through loss. He said, always the hardest thing. And when he said that, I'm like, if that's the hardest thing to do, well, then I'll just master the hardest thing.
Mm.
I'm like, if that's the hardest thing to do, and I
Yeah.
get really good at the hardest thing there is to do, that means everything else is easier.
Everything is easy. Yeah.
So
Wow.
give me the hardest thing to do then. That's what I want to do. And so I've dedicated myself to mastering grief.
Mm.
And to the point where like I have been documenting, I have 40 cases already where I have people send their people who are in apathy, their severe depression,
Mhm.
like years and years on medication and not okay. And if I apply the grieving system the way that I teach it, in less than 1 hour, I have people no longer, they're not in depression anymore
Wow.
because I know the core of how it works. And if you learn how to grieve and you learn how to beat shame, then you no longer have depression.
Mm.
But people keep dealing with symptoms and don't deal with the problem.
The root. Yeah.
And as soon as I go to the root, I'm like, tear that out. You don't have to worry about pruning all this shit. Just tear the
Yeah.
root out. And they're
Yeah.
like, that feels way better. I don't feel bad anymore. I'm like, you didn't need
Yeah.
that piece.
Yeah.
And so then it's very quick to do that. And so I definitely, I want to kind of just expert to expert, if you will, student to student, however you want to say it. I'd like to hear your system of grieving, and then I'll give
Yeah.
you some of my weapons on grieving so we can both make each other's places stronger. I want to make
Yeah.
it so that your organization is stronger and my organization is stronger because we can take our best practices together and make each other just stronger.
Yeah, I
So
love that. I think I love what you. So I want to speak to that and then answer your question. I love what you said about just rip that part out because I'm a big believer, even in the way ministry is done. For example, I think many times it teaches people to, again, as we mentioned earlier, to manage misery and deal with fruit and not deal with root. So consequently, people are really good at dealing with the fruit and never dealing with the root. And so they spend their whole lives like dealing with the same stuff, just in different forms. It's showed up in a marriage, showed up in a business, showed up in this. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's just in a different form. And so I began to look at it through the lenses of like I studied my biological father, who I met him when I was 12. And then it looked like a great love story because after my mother had divorced my stepfather, the abuser and all that, it looked like a great love story. Two high school sweethearts coming back together again. It looked great. It looked like it was going to be amazing. And so I credit my mother, I just have to say this, an amazing woman who raised three kids. Like I said, functionally, she was a single mother because she made it happen. But I learned, and that's that whole process I'm in right now. I learned that a lot of how I think, how I move, how I operate was shaped because of parentification. I would, as a kid, was an adult. So she never asked me to do this, but I wouldn't do kid stuff because in my mind, I had to be home to protect her from my stepfather. Because if I was gone for 2 or 3 days and I came back for doing, spending out over a friend's house, going on a camping trip, Boy Scouts or whatever it might be, who the heck knows what would have happened while I was gone? I mean, there's a movie. You familiar with the movie or the story of Tina Turner? I Can Tina Turner. You familiar with that at all? Okay,
Mhm.
that movie, yeah, that in many ways that paralleled my upbringing. He was that type of a guy, and would snap. And when he would snap, he had drug problems. He had a lot of issues, but at the end of the day, it doesn't change the fact that the end result is what it was. And so as a kid, I learned to never address what I needed. These are the patterns that I learned. I learned to not address the things that I needed because I was in my mind, I got to protect my mom, then brothers and sisters, I got to protect them. That type of thinking followed me through the entirety of my life. So in business, all my bad business decisions came because I thought like a parent and not a CEO. In relationships, I would find projects because I thought like a parent, not like a CEO. As a pastor, I would think like a parent and not as a pastor. And while there's similarities, they are not the same. I would take on personal responsibility for other people's lives while simultaneously not really addressing my own. So this is how I got, where I was, overweight. And I carried it pretty well. I look like a middle linebacker, but the point is, it was overweight. It wasn't healthy. And that, which that was 2013 when I began to physically transform and say, this is not how I want to be. But something crazy happened. When I began to do that physically, that really began this process of me going through all of these layers and levels and shapes and really beginning to evolve. And really, quite honestly, only in the last several months have I been able to get to, and that's why I'm really intrigued in what you're saying about this within an hour, get to the root thing. Cause I was, doing that. I would, I'd chop this piece of fruit off, like you say, pruning. I'd cut this, I'd cut this, I'd cut this. But I was like, but there's still something here. Only in the last few months have I been able to get to the root and say, okay, a lot of the way this is shaped and a lot of the things that you maybe ever felt were not good or negative or whatever, any of that, it all came from these childhood things. And so to your point of grief, how do I deal with it? I recognized that there was a part of me that was like grieving some of the childhood that I just didn't experience. Again, my mother never asked me to do it. There was just something in me that was like, I got to protect her. The warrior, the fighter. I got to protect her. I got to be here. Got to do this. Got to do this for my brother and sister. Got to do this for this person. Got to do this for this person. And really, this was the takeaway that I got from that. This time, I need me. Everybody else, I've always, let's not use sacrifice. We're going to use the word. I've always exchanged me for the needs of other people, even if that was setting myself on fire just to keep them warm. So I then had to say, this time I need me. So it was a really interesting thing to ask myself, well, what do I want to do? How do I want to approach it? Just some very simple, basic questions
That's easy,
that,
but they're hard questions. They're not easy.
mm, mm,
No,
mm.
you were never taught to do that. How the heck are you supposed to answer that question
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
ever?
um,
Like you
yeah,
were always doing something for other people or doing what you were told. How are you supposed to know what you want?
yeah, absolutely. And I created a great avatar. a great character.
Yeah, great mask.
Yeah,
A good fraud. Yeah.
yeah. Created that, but I had to say to myself, what to that point. So, in dealing with that grief, in some of those ways, one, just walking, embracing it. To me, anything you run from, you're a slave to. So, stepping into it and then walking through those stages of grief and giving myself I think the biggest thing that I didn't do, giving myself permission to be a human.
To
Like,
be your being
yeah,
side,
to be,
yes.
yeah, it's just, I'm mad about that, I'm pissed off about that, I'm angry about that. Okay, now let's not stay there, because staying there to me is okay, great, so what are you going to do about it? But giving myself permission to do that and then move on from that. But moving on in a way to where I've extracted all of the lessons from it. And so
Mhm,
that process is a process that, again, I think it's always continual. But for me personally, that's right where a lot of that was. And then even recognizing I had resentment. Although I had forgiven my stepfather, and it was crazy because after all of those things years later, he served on the security team at church. It was the craziest thing. Um, my biological father, he at one point was one of our leaders in our church. And so I didn't realize until much later, as I began to just go to the root, snatch it out, using your analogy, that there was still some unresolved resentment there
mhm,
that I had and some deep anger, like, you sucker, right? Like, you did that. And I knew I had gotten to the root when I was telling a story of a time he was upstairs. My bedroom, we were in a trailer home. My bedroom was underneath their bedroom. And so I'll be pretty transparent with the story. I heard some sounds coming from the room. And at first I smiled and got excited because I thought, this is good what I'm hearing. Right? This is good. Now, yeah, it is smart. I didn't figure out what I'm talking about. I was like, this is good. So here I am, as I don't know why I was 12, 13, whatever. Here I am smiling, like, this is good. Like, he's not on that, whatever drug of choice that he's picked today. He's not on that.
mhm,
And then I kept hearing, I remember waking up. I was like, nah, something else is going on. I run upstairs, push the door open, and he's on top of my mother, choking my mother. And she gets up, she runs out, and she runs behind me, and she's running to me, and she says, he was choking me, and she's explaining to me what happened. And I told that story many times, but when I told it here recently, a few months ago, something happened that had never happened when I told that story. I got uncontrollably emotional. And I said, what's happening here? And I got excited because I said, yeah, we're tapping in. We're getting like, there's so many layers to this stuff. And you know how to keep it moving and you know how to move on. But clearly this is something that's there. And so I said, I gotta get off the phone. I gotta get off the phone. Hung up the phone, and I wasn't mad, I wasn't angry, I was excited because I said, "All right, we're tapping into it. This is some unresolved grief."
mhm,
Um, so to me, stepping into it, processing it, getting the lessons, walking through the process, giving myself permission to be a human being, which, if you're always Batman, you never get to be Bruce Wayne type of type of scenario. And I think that's my favorite superhero, and I always wondered why. I think because it speaks a lot to how uh, I process a lot of things. Superman was always Superman. He had to dumb down to be Clark Kent. Batman had to become, something else. So there you go. I said a whole lot. I had a word salad, but I think I said something.
there's a lot in here for sure,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I listen, Batman was my guy for a long time, and now that I'm way further ahead, he might be the bad guy. So, like, that's kinda confusing
Ah.
because like, now the Joker is starting to make more sense to me. So, like, I'm like, maybe he's not as crazy. If you take the psychopathy out of it, his
Yeah.
principles make more sense, actually.
Yeah.
But in any case, I wanna get into some of these things, and I wanna help people
Yeah.
out with kind of what you were doing there,
Yeah.
because you did talk about I think there's a DNA element of the warrior inside of all of us, and that natural protector came out of you, but you didn't address yourself and you did suppression. I pushed down
Yeah.
who I am to make sure I could take care of others, which again, paradoxical. Like, I destroy me to heal you, I
Yeah.
hurt me to help you. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous, but that's a
Yeah.
natural response. And what we've come to in our men's group is that you were taught to be a weak male by a weak male.
Mm,
Because you think hurting you helps others. Like, how do you be a
mm.
protector if you cut your arms and legs off?
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that
so
doesn't make
true.
any sense.
Yeah.
Hurting you doesn't help other people.
Yeah.
And so, because you were around a weak male, aggression is a sign of instability. He's not
Yeah.
in control. It's in fact, it's usually the more aggressive these guys are, it's because they're terrified. Because I guarantee you, put him in front of a real man,
Mhm.
he'd sit the fuck down.
Yeah. Yeah.
He'd
Yeah.
sit the fuck down. I guarantee you, these
Yeah.
scared boys who are tough to women, tough to
Yeah.
children, do
Yeah.
not do well to a fucking warrior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, like, I've seen it too, because I got buddies who are fucking cage fighters. Like,
Yeah.
they'll put you to sleep in front of your family. Like, there's
Yeah.
not they'll get you. As soon as you see that guy, they're like, "Yes, sir. Sorry, sir." Like, but you were gonna fucking hurt that kid though, you
Yeah.
asshole. You were real
Yeah.
tough a second ago. And so there's a weak male there, and you had to try and compensate for the weakness of the other male by trying to fill in the gaps with no training, and
Mm.
started doing more of this nice guy behavior, which is
Yeah.
self-destructive and covert contracts, and it starts turning into transactional behavior, which doesn't work ever, by the way. And you started realizing these are coming from parent stuff. I'm doing behaviors here that don't match me. I
Mhm.
want to give the formula to help out for how to do this effectively. And I want to teach you something that nobody in psychology teaches.
Yeah. Let's hear it.
So get your notebook ready because you can use
Oh,
this
listen,
stuff
I've been
later.
taking notes. You don't hear me over here typing? I'm taking notes.
Oh no, I'm with you. I write all the stuff you're saying. So I'm with
Yeah.
you. Um, First, let's start with the obvious parts. You have to learn how to grieve in all four sides: mind, heart, body, spirit. And that's why the heart side was in the last time. And you're like, oh, something else is going on here. My emotions are coming out. Well, that
Mhm.
was suppressed before. You
Mhm.
had that shut down for survival purposes. And so
Mhm.
now heart side is opened up. And now when you say the same story, there's a different element of you opened up.
Mhm.
So if
Mhm.
spirit side's repressed, heart side's repressed, if you're repressing your body, repressing your mind, you're going to have different reactions or experiences each time you grieve through on each side. And so
Yeah.
being able to be balanced as a man is being able to be solid on mind, heart, body, spirit. So we have to train in all categories. Remember, mind and body, that's what you surrender, never. Always
Mhm.
tactical, always action. Got to do, 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 do. Mind and or spirit and heart, those are B. And so surrender on that side is actually super strong. Surrender to faith, surrender to love, surrender to connection. That makes you 10 times stronger. The rules
Mhm.
on the yin yang are reversed. And if you're only doing half of the equation, of course you're struggling. You're suppressing half of the grieving system.
Yeah. That's good.
So then we go into the system itself: denial, bargaining, anger, sadness, acceptance. You know those. I didn't make
Yep.
those up. Those have been
Yep. Yep.
around.
Yep.
But the way you do it is different. I want you
Mhm.
to pay attention to the pieces of this and how they match together with the elements of ourselves to use them. Denial is mind side. Denial is mind side. Most people are stuck in denial. Most are. Why? Because it's truth, acceptance, and there's opportunity there. The practice for denial is to practice honesty with yourself and seeking acceptance of what is.
Mhm.
And when I teach acceptance training, the definition of acceptance, and I tell everybody to do this, you write down acceptance is period.
Mm.
And they go, acceptance is.
Yep.
It already is. We're waiting for
Yeah.
you to catch up.
Yeah.
It already happened.
Yeah. It's
Like it
done. Yeah.
is
It's
already.
done. Yeah. It's over. Yeah.
We're waiting for you now. You're on the delay. It's already done. So we're waiting for
Yeah.
you to catch up to it. And so, how courageous and humble are you with truth shows you the truth about who you are. And
Yeah.
that's where people get messed up in denials. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to get into it. That's a flight system I don't want to deal with. And so our mind will create stories to keep us safe. There's systems of suppression, omission, masking, justification, lying, all of the things that we do to keep ourselves from talking about the thing. But the irony is, your protection system, your best friend who keeps you from dealing with these things, is actually a trap. It's your prison.
Mm.
So here you are, keeping your safe from barring the windows and locking the doors and not letting anybody in, and calling
Mhm.
yourself safe and secure by not
Yeah.
talking about it. That sounds like prison.
Yeah.
Like, that's
Yeah.
not protection.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so remember, the reason that we have to go through denial is to have humility in handling truth about who we are. And that's what people don't want to deal with: is who am I really? The circumstances don't define you, they reveal you to yourself.
Yeah.
So denial teaches us about truth, about yourself, and how you deal with acceptance.
Mm.
That means that's the growth element of why do I have denial? You're supposed to get better with truth. You're supposed to get better with acceptance. And it's supposed to show you who you really are. Stop being the fraud or the fake or the mask or the persona or the
Mhm.
I'm the thing.
Yeah,
Stop lying.
yeah,
It'll stop that element of it.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's denial. That's mind side. Bargaining goes into your spirit side. Bargaining is purpose and connection and reason. So the importance of things is in your bargaining. Now, if you don't know what the fantasy element of bargaining, it goes into rose-colored glasses. It goes into all the different elements of like, oh, shoulda, coulda, woulda, and oh,
Mhm.
if only that, and if I could have done this, then they would have done this, and it gets into all the it's the positive element, the fantasy part of what it could, should have, would have been. Well, the growth element of this, because it's a trap, people live their life in bargaining. They get stuck in this for a long time because it seems like a good thing until it doesn't happen. And then it's another grief inside your grief, so it doubles the grief up.
Yeah, layers of it.
But what is the fantasy itself that you actually want? And it shows you your desires. It shows you your wishes. It shows you the life that you wish that you had, because if only this, then I would have this. Well, what's
Yeah,
the thing?
yeah.
It's showing you what's important to you.
Mm,
You may not have it, but it's showing you what to aim at for your values or your priorities because it's important to you, but you think it's going to be magically done. No, now
mm,
it's a target for what's valuable to you. Bargaining will show you your character for authenticity. It'll show you this is how I should set my goals, build my dreams, or find my purpose because I see what's important to me now because I'm fantasizing that the relationship or dynamic or the outcome was like this. Well, that means that's important to me.
yeah.
So
Man, that's good.
start building your dreams or your goals around the thing that you realize when you are going through, I don't have this. Now you see what you really desire. So when you said, what do I want? Who do I want to be? It's in this area where it shows, well, what did you wish you would have had? Go that way.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
Bargaining
That's
shows
good.
you, it's the spirit element of it, and so it brings that choice to live in make-believe world in the past and wish shoulda, coulda, woulda, or you can have this, now I know what to do or who to be because I see what's important to me to reach forward, grow forward into the future of who I'm meant to evolve into.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I just got to jump in and just say what I love about that is the fantasizing component of it, and taking that and making that the reality, and it really being a revealer. I think that's so powerful because even in hindsight, elements of that I took and I did create and I did do this and do that and do that. Having it explained the way you're explaining it, I think is so potent because it helps you to cut through the noise and just find the signal. Yeah.
Your observations are good. You have high awareness, sir,
But
and
listen,
I
evolving every day.
I enjoy it. Very I like
Yes.
talking to smart people. You see
Yeah.
things very clearly. It's good. Let's talk about your anger. Let's get
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
I'm mad
Yeah.
about this. Anger's body side.
Hmm.
That's the physical element of it. It's a body side. Anger is meant to show you your morality, accountability, and fairness. Anger shows you the morality for what you believe is right and wrong. And so it teaches you the idea of fairness, justice, and control to learn humility and compassion for the golden rule, which is don't be shitty to people if you don't want people shitty to you, and don't be
Hmm.
mean to you if you don't want people mean to you,
Hmm.
and love
Hmm.
people as you be loved. It's the whole concept of treat people how you like to be treated, right? Well, when people get angry, it's usually three categories I've noticed it comes into. Either something is taken away from you or something is lost, something is unfair or an injustice, or there's an unmet need, something you needed and that didn't happen. Whether to be heard or respected or have dignity or whatever it is. And like, that's not happening. I'm pissed off
Yes.
about it. Like when
Hmm.
something is unfair or injustice, we get triggered by this. And the
Hmm.
control system that we're latched onto to try to force things to be right gets kicked in.
Hmm.
Well, you're on the right track, but if you're accepting of what it is that's going on, you have to be able to pay attention to, are you just as fair or as fair as you want them to be? Your morality system has to be checked now. Would you want to be on the receiving end of your own justice?
Hmm.
Because we make up systems that as long as I'm in charge, we can burn them at the stake But like, "Do you wanna get burned at the stake?" You're like, "No, my god, that's horrible." It's like, "Then
Yeah.
don't do that. Your
Yeah.
morality is goofed up." So removing double standards and to be humble in your judgments, just as you would love to have it returned to you,
Yeah.
anger shows you how you treat people if you have control and power, if you have the upper hand. And it
Mhm.
reveals the truth about you to yourself with how your fairness systems work because you're not fair to others because they're not fair. You're doing, again, this paradox loop of I do what you do and hate you for it, which is
Yeah.
projection being ironic, by the way. I hate you for doing what I do, and I hate the part of you that does what I do because I hate that you're doing what I do, and I hate me, and I hate you, and it's all just ironic. You're so silly at this point. The triggered control sponsor, it shows us our foolishness. It shows us trying to force outside things to become something other than what it already is.
Mhm.
Just take that in. It shows how silly it is when I'm triggered that I want to force something that already is something to not be what it already is.
Yeah. Wow.
Duh, like, that's so silly, that doesn't do that, and so being able to really check, I'm angry because something is not right, and that shows me what I believe right and wrong is, and that should make your
Mhm.
awareness of yourself very high. It'll show you your control systems, and this is what kills love, kills connection, and kills everything in your life, is I need to force it to be that way. Doesn't work. You'll kill everything. You wouldn't wanna be on the receiving end of you, and it makes it so we have to be humbled in the ability to accept people and lead more compassionately, have more empathy, and being able to go like, I can see you based on like I can be in these shoes, and what do I believe is right and wrong here? And your
Yeah.
anger is supposed to teach you to be morally correct, a better
Mhm.
moral compass. That's
That's
what anger is
interesting.
for.
Yeah.
Also, it's really funny when people want to try and control things because I do a training where if I was like, all right, Kevin, listen, I want to turn green with you. Let's Hulk out. Let's get angry. How angry do I have to be to go back in time and change time? Because I'll get angry with you. Captain America will go away. The Hulk will come out, and we'll go green. We'll smash until time is different. How do we Hulk smash the past to be different? Because I'll do it with you. Can we do that? Well, then what are we doing? Because if we can
Yeah.
Hulk smash the past, let's go do it.
Yeah.
But if I'm angry about something that already happened, help me out here. What are we
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. I think that's really powerful. Yeah. Here's the line I wrote. It's trying to force us to change something that is something into something else. Yeah. So I always believe that anger is like a signal emotion. It becomes a take action. What action
Body
are
side.
you going to take from this?
Body side, action side. Yeah. You see it too. This is why I like, hey, let's bounce these off each other. It's like, did you
Yeah.
see what I see? You're like, I see it too. We're coming
Yeah.
from two different directions and finding the same destination.
Yeah. I love that.
It's very good. Because
Yeah.
you're on the same path. I'm with you. Now let's get into the one where people really get jammed up. I don't call it depression like they do on the regular version of going through the grieving system because otherwise wouldn't it be denial, bargaining, wrath, depression? Well, anger isn't wrath. Wrath is me going all the way off the rage or something like that. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
rage or wrath. No, instead, it's not. Depression comes when this gets out of control. It
Yeah.
starts with sadness. Just like
Yeah.
anger leads to rage, sadness leads to depression. And
Hmm.
so I call it sadness because it's very,
Okay.
very manageable at sadness. You're going to need help at depression.
Yeah.
Like, so let's start with sadness. And so sadness, heart side. Sadness goes into heart side. This is meant to teach you appreciation, empathy, and love. And I have noticed that the depth of somebody's sadness that they've ever been able to reach is proportionate to the ability to love.
Yeah. Totally agree.
The deeper you've been able to feel sadness, the more empathy and connection you can have for somebody to love.
Hmm.
And people who shut their hearts down and suppress their heart have a very difficult time connecting their sadness and love to
Hmm.
others. And they feel like there's a big missing connection element of it.
Yeah.
Sadness shows us how to heal and grow our hearts. It's the kintsugi method. And if you haven't seen that, that's Japanese art where they'll break a bowl or break a vase and then they put it back together, but they use gold as the mortar.
Mm.
And so that means like when we put it back together, now the cracks are filled with gold, and now the cracks are the strongest part of the vase or the thing.
Hmm.
It's a very beautiful look.
Hmm.
It's very complicated, but it's amazing. But the more times you break this and you get good at putting it back together, the more gold that you're using to put it all back together. And it gets bigger. I was talking with Coot Blackson on this one. He's like, it gets bigger as you keep putting your heart back together. And
Right.
eventually it's like, I do the Rubik's Cube analogy. Like, I know the answer, I know the solution. And most people are like, don't touch my cube. Don't touch my cube. I'm like, if you know how to solve it and somebody messes your cube up, you're like, oh no, it's okay. It's like, dude, we train to solve it. Like, just put your heart back together. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
more times your heart breaks, the more material like gets put in there, and the stronger and bigger it gets, so it can hold more. Eventually, when you're not worried about your heart being broken by everybody, you have a big heart of gold. And
Hmm.
it's difficult to break, and it can hold a lot, and it can give a lot. So we have to go into sadness teaches you how to love.
Hmm.
Sadness, you put your heart back together. Don't worry about it being broken. It's supposed to be. Every
Hmm.
time it breaks, we make it stronger. And
Hmm.
so sadness is proportionate to love. And so the depth of how much sadness you felt, or how much tragedy, or how much trauma you've been through, it makes it so now I can be empathetic and connect to people at their darkest places. This brings hope to those who don't have it. But people who haven't been through a lot, they judge and ridicule and make fun of and reject people who are going through difficult things. If you've never been depressed or suicidal or destroyed or hurt in some of the ways people have been hurt, people just go, whatever, get over it, because they've never
Hmm.
had to do it before. It's
Hmm.
very simple and easy for people to judge what they don't understand or hate things that they don't get. But people who have been through it seem to be able to be the most humbled. The people who have to do the hardest things have the largest hearts. And so your compassion, your empathy, your connection becomes stronger. And it makes it so your appreciation in the moments that are good become more powerful and more beautiful, because you now have a depth of comparison from radical sadness to
Hmm.
radical appreciation. I can now see I'm in the middle of a beautiful moment right now, because
Yeah.
I know what I know what it feels like to not be in something this great.
Yeah.
And then having that connection, it removes victimhood, and it makes it so your trauma is no longer your identity. You're not defined by your loss, and your kintsugi'd heart is now something that is worth sharing, because you've put the work in to refine it and put it back together from loss and sadness. And
Yeah.
that's the acceptance in that area.
Yeah. I love that. My takeaways from that, I like to say it like this: what hurts you deepest helps you, can help you most. And when I listen to how you phrase that, I think it's so powerful. And viewing it that way, because I think most people live life like, love to me is a contact sport. If you're not taking hits, you're not playing it right. You're not doing it right. There and the hits to me, are those things that we sometimes try to avoid the heart being broken, try to avoid sadness, avoid those things. And I think that, back to what I was mentioning, even for me, embracing those moments, embracing that, and not having to be, my superhero. I want to get into that thing too about Joker and Batman,
Sure.
but not being my superhero, not having to do that. Like, that's okay. And having those moments and having that journey, and doing that. But I think, I've always said that, when you see how deep you can hurt, you'll know how much you can love. And I think that's a very powerful thing. I think especially for men, because most men, especially when I'm sitting in seats of counseling and coaching and therapy, et cetera, most men are, from what I see, are often in protection mode. So consequently, nothing gets in, nothing gets out.
Self-preservation.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
often in self-preservation. And
yeah.
yeah, it's an interesting thing when you watch our guys. Our guys live in more shame. Women live in
Hmm.
more blame. That's a luxury that women have, by the way, that men don't have. But
Mm.
the protection mode element is like protecting what? And usually it's going to be something that they feel very shameful for, or something that they don't feel strong in. Yeah.
Yeah,
Guys are different. The men and women are very, very different.
yeah.
Very different.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's interesting. But I love that, and I love, what you call it, the Kashugi?
Kintsugi.
Kensuki.
It's
Kensuki.
Kintsugi. It's Japanese art. It's very complicated to do, but it's beautiful. It's very
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah, I see it. I'm looking at some of the images. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I even like the imagery though of the use of gold. Like, that's the valuable part. Like
Your
the
your your
thing.
cracks are the strongest element now.
Yeah, yeah. It is the strongest and the most valuable. To me, I like that part because that's what makes, I think those are the types of things that define the quality of our heart, the quality of who we can be, how we can be to people. It's those types of things. Going through seeing the things that I saw are the reason why I can view and we do so much even from ministry and business. We do so much for people who are single moms, for example. We do so much for other individuals where I have compassion for people. They come to the people's bishop. And the reason for that is because my approach is very different, oftentimes, than what most, unfortunately, sometimes is what's seen in pulpits today, where it's, judgment, judgment, judgment. You're not this, you're not this, you're not this. You're going to hell for this, you're going to hell for this. Okay, let's
Which
set all
which
that
do
aside for a moment.
which religion is that?
What's that?
Where everybody's doing judgment, judgment, judgment. Which religion is that?
Oh, sure. A lot of what we see in Christianity today. Uh,
Okay, so that's
um,
Christianity, because like, I'm
yeah.
pretty sure Matthew 7:1 says don't do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Who
yeah.
was
Well,
doing that speech in Matthew 7:1? Who was that again?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
think
yeah.
that's the guy.
Some guy, I don't know if they know who that is, but
Yeah,
some
yeah,
guy said, "Don't do that."
yeah, yeah. That's our guy. That's our guy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. That's a whole separate subject. But
The Sermon on
while
the
I,
Mount is my favorite speech on the planet, so, like,
yeah,
it's probably the most powerful speech. I've been studying it for a year, and every time I read it, it's deeper.
yeah, I get that. I get that. But to your point, I think that when you look at how we interact with people, I think a lot of that has to do with just how we interact with ourselves. Jesus said it
Right.
like this: love your neighbor, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and strength. Love, second commandment, love your neighbor as yourself. And he said it's equally as important. And I think that's powerful. So like we said, love God, love people, love life. I can't give to others what I don't give to me. And I think this is so powerful because you can't even see the beauty of the broken parts and the experiences that other people have had if you can't even appreciate that from yourself. So this
You're
one, I
saying
love
it
that.
right. You're saying it right. And I'm gonna say it Rick way because you're saying it right. I'm gonna say it in a different way.
Yeah.
Is you're watching people you're watching people alter themselves off of the judgments of people who use a religion
Hmm.
and not seeing that growth comes from the bad things. And I think that
Hmm.
when they say all sin is created equal, I didn't understand that for a long time. It's like, no, you're supposed to fuck up so you can learn not to do that anymore.
Hmm.
That's why
Hmm.
God can go, did you learn?
Yeah.
Good. And you
Yeah.
can't be a good person unless you're able to do bad things. You have to be able to do the bad thing to be able to have the everything is a choice
Yeah.
to not do the bad thing.
Yeah.
But if you
Yeah.
can't do it, you're not good, you're useless. Like, so if I'm not strong enough to do harm, I'm just weak. I can't
Yeah.
do shit. But if
Exactly.
I'm
Yeah.
strong enough to have restraint,
Yeah.
now I am good,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Very
know?
different.
And so this is where, like, the humility of, I think you have to have abundance, like you said, with the more I learn, the more I know I don't know. The
Hmm.
stronger I get, the more gentle I can be with my touch, and the better
Yeah.
protector I can be.
Yeah.
The more I'm, deeper connection on heart, the more I can be more vulnerable, like I
Yeah.
can be more open and less fearful. The more I have stronger spirit side and more faith, the less my anxiety could ever get me.
Yeah.
It's these elements of, like, the stronger that I get, the more humble that I get.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that piece right there is therein lay the difference, which is why I appreciate all of what my journey is and the process of it. Like I love it. I love the process. Because to me, just what you said with the Rubik's Cube, if I learn the process, I'm never afraid. I never have to be concerned. I know the process. I know how to get to where we're going. Like, I've got, when I head to the gym later today, I know how to get there. So if the navigation didn't work, it's okay. I know how to get there. That's about the only place I know here in Atlanta how to get to so far. But my point is I know how to get there. And I think that piece, just even looking at this art, that stands out to me from that because I think that knowing how to, put it back together and it's always better than it was before. To me, that's like the whole concept. Like that's the whole Psalm 23:3. He restores my soul. He restores my mind, thoughts, will, emotions. Restore. He puts me back together better than I was before.
We do that together, though. God gives us
Yeah.
the
Oh,
element. And
absolutely.
this is where I think people, like, this is where on the religion side, I
Yeah.
watch people use God.
Yeah.
for their own selfishness all the time. Like, well, God will do it for me. I'm like, no, no, he
Yeah.
gives you the opportunity to do it. You have to
Absolutely.
do your part. You have to help put that back together. Well, God will
Yeah.
just fix it. I'm like, no, he gave you all of the tools, utilities, this
And
conversation
resources.
you just listened
Yeah.
to be able to do it.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
have to do that though.
Yeah.
He didn't
And
build
let
the
me just say,
ark. Noah
yeah,
did.
and yeah, no, it did. You get my agreement with that, and I think that's one of the big differences too. I like how you worded it. People use God. I think I do everything I can do. God will do everything I can't do, and that's the partnership. That's the working together. But I totally agree with you that I'm not waiting on God to do the parts I'm supposed to do. You bring up Noah, you bring up any of this stuff. He
Mhm.
always says, "I'll be with you." I ain't doing it for you. I'll be
I'll
with
do
you.
it for you.
Be
Exactly.
strong and correct. Go do it. I
Are you
got you. I'm
gonna
backing you up.
do the difficult thing? Are
You
you
got to
gonna
do it.
do it? God doesn't ask easy things.
Yeah.
Bishop, I'm pretty confident now that I've hung out with you for about an hour that I think we could hang out for 13 hours and not get bored.
Listen, man, I agree.
So I know we're
I
running on a
agree.
time crunch, but I think
Yeah.
we're going to have to do another episode together because we're running
Oh,
out of
I'd love to.
time.
I'd love to, man.
Let's talk about it. I'm going to nerd with you for a little bit because this
Let's
could
go.
just be a really cool, just you didn't expect these two guys to have that conversation. So Batman's the good guy. That's what we're
Yeah.
saying, right? Now I'm with you for like he does problem solving and all this stuff. But I also know this guy's got a severe issue when it comes to being able to grieve because
Yeah.
his parents died. And since then, now he goes out and beats the shit out of everybody. So I'm like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
So we're
Yeah.
dressing in black. We got our horns, and we're
Yeah.
gonna go out and beat the shit out of people and
Yeah.
put them in the psych ward. And I'm like, I'm kind of with the Joker, like, dude, you should be in the fucking psych ward.
Yeah.
You just put on a bad guy costume, you run around at night and beat the shit out of people, and
Yeah.
then you put them in you dude, you're crazy.
Yeah.
That's a crazy person. We call it vigilante justice. You just went out and beat the shit out of this dude, and then like that's not crazy? Let's start off there.
Yeah.
Let's just start like this is the good guy. I want to make sure this guy who just runs around beating the shit out of people in a dark suit. That's the good guy. I just want to make sure we're doing this right.
Yeah.
Because if that
Yeah.
guy shows up to your place and fucks you up, you're gonna be like, not the good guy. And his
Yeah.
own
Listen.
justice system is all based on I don't know how to grieve. So
Yeah.
it's coming from vengeance and
Yeah.
hatred and anger. It's not coming from health. It's not coming from like the world needs me. It's coming from
Yeah.
like I'm not okay without my parents. I'm gonna go fuck someone up. Like that's
Yeah.
not you're not okay, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Just
That's interesting.
this is level 1. I'm not even going into the deep shit yet. This is just
Yeah.
let's just call the obvious shit first.
Yeah. Got you. Okay.
So,
Listen. I think that's very fair. I think that's very fair. While he's my favorite, I never said that he was right. But
I,
no, I agree. I think that's a very valid point. But it also explains for me. Here was my reason for always liking Batman was that there was a realistic level to it to me that I could see. I liked the realistic element of it. To me, that could generally happen. To me, the concept of Superman, it just seemed pretty far fetched, and Aquaman, pretty far fetched. Those things seemed fairly far fetched to me. This seemed possible, but hearing what you've articulated, I don't disagree with any of it, and that's probably why I would be drawn to him as my favorite because he's created this caped crusader that is now doing all of these things, but he's doing all of these things because he never got to do that thing.
well, I'm with you on like I like Batman's ingenuity, his
Hmm.
adaptability, his
Yes.
creativity. He'll find a way because Superman can punch the planet out of orbit. That's a problem. So Batman's got contingency for this. He used to keep kryptonite in his belt just in case Superman had a bad day. We can't let that one have a bad day. And so he was always ready to even beat up the Justice League. He was
Yeah.
always ready, which
Yeah.
also again is borderline paranoia. And he starts
Yeah.
freaking the fuck out on things. And he's
Yeah.
always like, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat you, and I gotta get you, and then he's gonna get
Yeah.
me, and I can't do that." Like he starts running into like, I like your preparation. You're not okay though, dude.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
you're not the rational one here. You're always
Mm.
ready for everyone to get you. Always ready for everyone to get you, and you're the embodiment of fear. But I mean, you're also pretty damn scared yourself, dude. You're not
Mm.
okay. And so when I say this guy should be
Mhm.
in charge, I'm like, he's paranoid. Like you're freaking out, dude.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I like your ingenuity. I like your I like you're trying to be prepared. And I'm with you, Boy Scout. That's cool. but be okay when you're doing this. You're doing it from like, this isn't going to be okay. This is going to be okay. So maybe your paranoia becomes part of your tactics for strength later on. Sure. But then we're doing things in a way that's like, that may not be the healthiest way to do that one, buddy. Like,
Mhm.
so
Mhm.
then I start getting into Joker stuff.
Okay.
The Joker is a creature of chaos, right? God doesn't operate in straight lines. I don't know if you've noticed that in nature. What operates in just perfect straight lines all the time? Nothing. Mountains don't, rivers don't, grass doesn't. Like everything's got it's not straight lines. Everything's got character to it. Everything is a little more chaotic. It's a little more nature itself doesn't operate in 90-degree angles. We do
Yeah.
that. We create that. We
Yeah.
create order. God
Mhm.
doesn't work like that. And
Mhm.
so it's very funny that us having to control everything and everything has to be just this damn way. It's got to be my way. It's got to be my
Mhm.
way. Somehow that's good, even though
Mhm.
God doesn't work that way. Everything's
Mhm.
not straight lines. Everything's organic. Everything's connected. Things don't love doesn't make any sense. Faith doesn't make any sense. These aren't straight lines.
Mhm. Mhm. Mhm.
And yet the people who make everything have to be that certain way, that's the good guy. It's
Mhm.
like, but the good guy doesn't do that. God doesn't
Mhm.
do that. So
Mhm.
why do we do that? Unless
Yes.
we're creating the rules, we're creating the laws, we're creating what to worship, we're creating right and wrong, we're creating that. And the Joker's
Mhm.
like, you guys are all idiots. You know that,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
You guys are all trying to make things your way and call yourself the good guy. You guys are just punishing each other and hurting each other, and you're gonna kill these people over money. Like, you do know that that's just paper, right? You just ruin
Mhm.
that family for paper, or you
Mhm.
think you're better than someone else for paper. That's you guys know it burns, right? It's just fucking paper. You guys are nuts. You're better than me because of paper. You're fucking it's paper, you jabroni. What are you talking about? Am I the only one who sees this is crazy? He's like, you dress up in a suit, go beat people up. Your other version of you is a billionaire who just is reckless and does wild things to try to show what status, because your status is you have stuff and you have paper. Like, what's the fucking value? You don't have a love that works in your life. You're not okay. Your purpose comes from fear and vengeance. You're not a healthy person in any capacity, and you're the good guy. Am I the
Mhm.
crazy one here or what?
That's insightful. That's insightful.
So
That's
I'm looking at
insightful.
like, if you remove the psychopathy element because they made the Joker a psychopath, like, remove that and just go like, what the fuck are you guys trying to control here? You guys are idiots. Like, this is nuts. You guys are all nuts. You're gonna go beat people up and put them in jail. You should be in jail. You're
Yeah.
crazy. You're beating people up.
Yeah.
What'd you beat
Yeah.
him up for? He was gonna beat up that guy. Then you beat him up. You're the same thing, dude.
Yeah. 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 I get that. All right. So, okay, let me ask you this question.
Okay.
How then, how do we get, besides the fact that, it's comics and movies and whatever, what do you think, what do you think Bruce Wayne becomes if he does properly handle that grief? Who does he become? What does he?
I think it's a cool hypothesis or a cool play out. I think that there's a healthy version of being able to say there's the right way and wrong way to do things. But I mean, like, it's one of those things where I think that if you look at how superheroes are, they are an embellishment, just like in Unbreakable, when M. Night Shyamalan's talking about like superheroes. It was Samuel L. Jackson who's talking about the superheroes are an embellishment of truth. It's extreme version of truth. And I think it just shows the battle of a guy who's not able to be okay with what is, and he's trying to force the world to be different because he's not okay himself. And it's really a big personification of a man's struggle. And it's also a big reason Batman is so successful is because each of his villains represent a version of humanity that we have to fight. You know, the Scarecrow is fear, the Joker is chaos, and Bane is wrath and rage, and these different elements of like neutrality and coexistence, like poison ivy with nature. And you're trying to fit Mad Hatter and trying to control people with their minds and trying to lie and manipulate and control like, there's all elements of these. The Riddler is the questions that we can't answer. Each of these bad guys represents a part of us and our own internal struggle, and that's why his bad guys were the most successful, because they weren't trying to take over the world like Superman's bad guys. No, they were a manifestation of our own internal struggle that Batman has to find a way to defeat.
Mm.
And that was why it was more successful. It's a real dude who has to figure out a way to beat these things.
Mhm.
And these
Mhm.
things are all part of my psychosis that isn't okay. Each one of these things is a part of us that we have to challenge to grow through.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if you're looking at it, is who is he when he stops having to like just if he's healthy, if he just really does, he'd probably be a happy guy who has love in his life, and he'd probably be able to help a lot of people without having to kick everyone's ass.
Yeah.
He can
Man,
kick
that
people's ass, but he'd probably just be like a real philanthropist that actually makes this world a better place in all kinds of ways.
yeah. That you know what? I gotta say, I have never heard that man articulated in that way. And I love that whole like I that's a whole dive I'm about to take. Oh man, I'm going into that because I think it's so powerful, even down to his villains. I've never viewed it that way or looked at it that way. But I agree with you. I think that's why it's so successful because I think in many ways there's so many elements that as everybody is going through their healing journeys can see themselves and it's a subconscious thing.
Yeah, it all
Yeah.
is, and it's all control. It's all control based. That's why I think the Joker is struggling with like again, remove that they made him a psychopath. He's not. He's just a creature of chaos. So
Mhm.
remove psychopathy out of it and just
Mhm.
go, what's he represent? And goes like,
Mhm.
I represent acceptance.
Mhm.
Like that already is. What the fuck are you guys doing here? We need to
Mhm.
make it our way. We need us to be in charge. You're like,
Mhm.
what? You don't. You're not in charge of that. You have to hurt a lot of people to do that. You know that you would not want to be on the receiving end of your own system. You know that, right? That's stupid. No, no, no. I need to control everybody.
Yeah.
The Joker's
Yeah.
like, you guys are all idiots. You're planning. You're all plotters. You're all planners. You're all schemers. Like, no,
Yeah.
you guys are stupid.
Yeah. Yeah. No, listen, that's a whole, that's a whole conversation by itself. I'm taking a total deep dive. I'm going to look at that in a totally different way. Because I think let me ask you this one. Penguin. What does he represent?
Greed. Penguin, it shows inadequacy and greed, and it shows what it looks like when you overcompensate for things.
Mm.
And it's greed. It's more and more and more. I need more power, but it's somebody who shows their inadequacy and now is overcompensating, and so it's the embellishment of overcompensation for feeling not good enough or having to like because I wasn't born as capable as you, then I want to find other ways to find strength.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. That's good. Man, this is good. That's a whole other conversation
Yeah,
on
yeah. I
its
told
own.
you we could
This
nerd
is
out for
good.
15 hours here.
Yeah, we
Like,
could. Man, I
so
love
I
that.
know you got to go, right?
Right.
Okay. What can we do to have people support you in anything that you're doing? Like, what would be like a thing like, Bishop, you're working on stuff. Can we say get more of Bishop
Yeah.
Evan Foreman? What
Yeah.
should they do? What should they see?
Sure, super simple. It's bishopforeman.com, FOREMAN.com. Everything I do is there. We do a lot. We've got books and stuff that are out that I think add great value. And really, a lot of the principles you're teaching are principles that are just interwoven and just pulled from a scriptural standpoint, but the principles remain the same because I think principles work. Principles work. They just work. But bishopforeman.com. People can connect there on all the socials. It's the same thing at Bishop Foreman, Facebook, Instagram, what have you. We've got books there. We do a lot of work. One of the big things that, to me is really important, is making transformational change in communities and what have you. And so we do a lot of work and making that happen and really bettering the lives of people, and so people can connect there, books there, all the information is there at bishopforeman.com, or just hit us up on social at Bishop Foreman. And but again, I appreciate you having me today. I've loved our conversation. I listen, when I do these normally I talk, I don't walk away with pages of notes of things, and I love how you did it. I'm taking this grieving on all four sides. I got that right here. I just want you to know when I preach it the first time, I'm going to give you the credit. By the second or third time, I'm going to own it.
It's yours. It'd be fine. The
Listen.
point of these things, and I think that if anyone understands the way this works, is you plant seeds in other people's gardens that you'll never get the fruit from.
Mm,
And we're all trying to help people get
yeah,
through stuff. I can only reach so many, and so it costs me nothing to give other people hope. And so if you can take some of the weapons that I've got in my arsenal and make your kingdom stronger, then we combined kingdoms, and we're like, we are all just helping people out. And so
Yep.
it costs me nothing to make your side stronger, because in a phalanx, the weakest point is the biggest problem. And so
Hmm.
I need you to be as strong as me, if not stronger, because you're watching my side just
Yep.
as I'm watching yours. It does me
Percent.
no
Yeah.
service for you to be less than.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that, and that's exactly I guess I gotta say this last piece, that thinking, I think, is so refreshing and the type of thinking we need, at every level of life and business and nonprofit, whatever it is, because that thinking, in my view, solves 99%, if not all, of the challenges that we have, culturally, systemically, politically, business, family, love, all of that type of thinking. And I think the same way. And it's somewhat kind of a unicorn. And believe it or not, even amongst people who do what I do, you'd be shocked or maybe not shocked
I would not
based
be
on your
shocked.
background. What's that?
I would not be shocked.
Yeah, and then yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Is it probably not based on what you do? That thinking just is not pervasive. It's just not the way people move, and so just thank you for being you, because that thinking is so refreshing. It's unfortunately it's like a unicorn, but it's refreshing.
Well, I would like to continue this conversation
Me too.
more. And
Yeah.
so let's plan so we can have more, because I have a whole book of unicorn conversation that's extremely challenging, that I think that you and I would have a lot of fun tearing it apart.
Oh, let's do it. We'd love to. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
I appreciate it. Have a good day.